Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friar Talk podcast. Today, we're pretty much going to be answering any questions anyone has. Talking about this Angels Padres series, what to expect from it, maybe the pitching matchups, and kind of just this cold stretch that the Padres are going through. We didn't really get a chance to recap the series today. We came out with a video earlier regarding the impact of the trade deadline so far on the Padres, and I think we can all definitely say that the trade deadline has negatively impacted the Padres with the moves that they did make ultimately not producing the way that they should have been expected to, or the way that a lot of us expected them to, and the moves that they didn't make excelling in the way that those teams are going. They're pretty high right now, especially Max Scherzer, Trey Turner for the Dodgers. Max Scherzer 5-0 right now for the Dodgers, and he's doing stellar for them, which is unfortunate. And we needed to be able to pull that trade off to really not go into this kind of rut. I was at the game yesterday. Definitely not a very exciting game. Everything felt dead. The crowd felt dead, except for the Dodger fans that were there. The dugout, the team's energy, everything it didn't feel right. It didn't feel the way it did earlier in the season in that series that we swept the Dodgers. I was there at that one, and it was electric, and it was just a complete 180 from what had happened, like from June to August. And obviously, this is a very tough time for the Padres right now, and they need to be able to battle through it. They need to show some grit, show some fight in them. And I know I keep seeing their comments saying we're too good of a team to get through it, blah blah blah, this and that. They can't wait anymore. You know, um, they can't afford to keep saying that and not coming through with it. The lineup yesterday was definitely pretty weird. At the bottom of the lineup, you saw, I believe it was Kim, Caratini. I know those were the 7-8. And it was just weird seeing Kim in the lineup, considering, like, don't get me wrong, I love Ha-Seong Kim. I think he's a solid player. However, he hasn't gotten the chance throughout the year to be able to adjust to the type of pitcher that Max Scherzer is. High velocity, good stuff, Hall of Fame pitcher. And you throw him out there in a game that you're not trying to get swept in. Now, has Adam Frazier been everything? No, but I might say that I'd take Adam Frazier in that situation. And keep in mind, I do not like Adam Frazier very much. However, tough series. The bats haven't been alive in like 2 weeks. I would say the bats haven't been alive, and it's unfortunate because this team was so good at the beginning of the year, and I think what's weird is that the one thing Jace Tingler hasn't tried yet is going to what was working. What was working was Machado third, Tatis at short, Cronenworth at second, Hosmer at first, Grisham, Myers, and Pham/Profar in the outfield. It was working. And I understand that the pitching hasn't been the same since, but now, you're saying we're going to start getting guys back here soon. Darvish did not have a good outing yesterday. But it was just one inning where he got roughed up. Hopefully Musgrove has a good outing today. Blake Snell had his best outing of the year, so hopefully Paddock can come back and we can have a solid 4 right there at least. The 5 is probably going to be Jake Arrieta when he's healthy, and I mean that's a starting 5 that I'm not like crazy excited for, but it's better than what we got right now. That double switch is completely unforgivable. But Jace Tingler, we talked about it in our group chat. It was so stupid how he decided, that he didn't even decide. It's like when they asked him about it, he just thought, "Oh man, I didn't think about that." And when you're in that kind of situation in a series, a very detrimental series, very detrimental game, very detrimental point of your season, you need to try and take everything into consideration. Like, rookie managers are going to make mistakes. But making a mistake in a key point like that is unforgivable. Kim should have stayed in the game. How far down Shit Creek River are we? We're pretty far down Shit Creek River, man. It doesn't feel like right now like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. However, things could switch like that. I promise if the Padres go on a 5-game win streak, something like that, I will forget about yesterday. But this team needs some sort of win streak to get them going now. They need somebody to energize them. They need some sort of just something to get them out of this. If they can't beat the Angels, that is probably the most concerning aspect about this team. And I think we can finally say this season is over. And yes, Ace, it does feel like that right now. I tweeted it out yesterday that for the first time, for me at least this year, because I had been saying like this season's starting to feel like it's going to be over. I think for the first time for me this year, it does feel like it's over, considering the strength of schedule for us and the strength of schedule for the Reds. It definitely feels a little. It's concerning. If Jace Tingler, or if we don't make the playoffs this year, Jace Tingler, I want him gone. I don't think it'll happen, but I definitely want him gone. And remember, at first, the beginning of the year, I wasn't that crazy about him going. But right now, considering the state of this team, considering how this offense has been off for what feels like forever, considering like how many bullpen days we've had, the things he's done have been unforgivable. And I'm not going to put all the blame on him, but like not leaving Ha-Sung Kim in the game, like I think even like we're not managers, but we know that he has to stay in the game so that way the pitcher doesn't move up to the fifth spot. Like it's so obvious that that's not what you should be doing. And then the Dodgers get the opportunity to walk Machado and Cronenworth twice in key situations, two of our three best hitters. But regarding this series, Musgrove's on the bump today. Hopefully we're able to get a good 6 or 7 out of him. And that's definitely what I expect from him today, especially against that lineup that hasn't really excelled at all this year. Tomorrow, it's going to be Ryan Weathers. It's tough to evaluate Ryan Weathers right now because here's the thing, like, everyone can put all the blame that they want on him. Everyone can say how much he sucks, but he's 21 years old. He's my Chase and Matt's age. So in reality, he shouldn't really be put in this kind of situation. He's too young. He doesn't have his stuff developed yet. When we drafted him, he was apparently supposed to be a developmental piece, I believe. He wasn't like this, big crazy thing. He just had a lot of upside, and we've seen that upside. Like we've definitely seen that upside. However, he's struggling a lot right now, and it's definitely the kind of struggle that we expect from a young pitcher. So hopefully he's able to turn around tomorrow. Chase just came on. There we go. Chase, what are your opinions on this series? We got Musgrove today. We got
the Angel series.
This one, the Angel series. We got Musgrove today. We got Weathers tomorrow.
Not exciting for tomorrow, but it is the Angels. The only real threat on that team is Shohei Ohtani. So it's kind of nice to see Tatis and Ohtani, two of the prime MVP candidates, line up against each other. Other than that, hopefully Musgrove's followed today. I don't know how Weathers is going to be tomorrow, considering his track record for the past 4 or 5 games has been pretty bad. So hopefully they turn it around. There's not a lot of stars on the Angels. It's mainly Ohtani and Jared Walsh, right?
Yeah, Walsh has been good. What did you think about the Dodgers series?
Depression. It was mismanaged. When the pitching was there, the offense wasn't. When the offense wasn't there, the last game, the pitching wasn't either. So everything that could have went wrong. Possibly lost Myers to an injury. Snell went 8 innings, but the mismanaged game caused them to lose. And probably his best outing of the year. Snell hasn't gone 8 innings since 2018. That's a milestone right there. The bullpen's completely depleted again. The one bullpen game and then going 16 innings. The bullpen having to throw 8 of those innings. Yeah, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was talking about it earlier. If we don't make the playoffs, I think, and we said in our most recent episode that if we don't make the playoffs, we're going to make an episode on Tingler. I think I've come to my conclusion. If we don't make it, I want him gone. I know, Matt and Chase might not feel the same way. Chase probably more so than Matt. Chase probably more so than Matt. I think Chase and I are like, we're in on it. Just because, for me personally, and we'll get your opinion on this after too, Chase. Me personally, this team is still an up-and-coming team. you got your young stars and Tatis and Cronenworth's not that young, but his experience is still not there yet. You got Tatis, Cronenworth, Grisham is still young. Myers hasn't really had experience of kind of like a winning team. Tommy Pham, he's not young, he's been around. Manny Machado is the captain of this team, obviously, and then you got your pitching staff, Chris Paddock, Joe Musgrove, still two guys that haven't been on many winning teams. Then you got guys in the minors that you're supposed to bring up for the future: Luis Campusano, Robert Hassel, C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, and then Ryan Weathers as well. Me personally, I want somebody that has been there before, has had young stars before, has had winning track record. Somebody that's been there before, whether it's on the field or just like has done it, like Bruce Bochy. And I saw Ben Higgins from Ben and Woods said that the most recent World Series winners were rookie managers. However, Dave Roberts played, Alex Cora played. So, I think having a guy that's kind of been in those situations, whether it be in the dugout or on the field, is something that is very important, that you can guide a young team like this, a young up-and-coming team like this, a franchise like this, to a direction of winning.
Yeah, one of the guys that automatically sticks out is kind of Ron Washington. He was a part of that young Braves team when they first went to the playoffs, and they kind of been perennially in the playoffs ever since. He's really helped those, Acuñas, the Albius, was it Johan Camargo when they all came up around the same time. They had a really young team, Dansby Swanson, Charlie Culberson. They all came up at the same time and had some success. And I think he was just the bench coach at the time, but you saw that infield defense was really solid. He kept Acuna under loop. They were a really solid team, and the only thing they really lacked was pitching, but they still made playoffs all the time. And not that they still sort of lack pitching due to injuries, but that's kind of one of the guys you can look and be like, yeah, this is a guy we need to go out and get. You guys keep mentioning Bruce Bochy, but I don't think he'd come to the Padres. I know isn't he retired, or wasn't he considering retirement last year?
He came out and said that under the right situation he would come back, and apparently he lives in Poway. And I know like a bunch of people want him, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I want him too, but being realistic, it probably would not happen.
Yeah. So looking around, there's not a lot of options. I'd probably go with Ron Washington. If not, who could you go with? Probably like a bench coach from a winning team. I wouldn't want the bench coach from the Yankees. Maybe the Rays, because the Rays do adopt a lot of analyticals into their stuff, and they have a recipe for pitching, and we kind of need that. So maybe he's absorbed some of that knowledge. So maybe the Rays bench coach. Kevin Cash was up for Manager of the Year with some questionable decisions made. So, you're going to get questionable decisions with the manager no matter what. You just kind of want them to be minor. And in this case, Tingler's made some major ones. So,
yeah, man. Obviously, more replacements, more options are going to pop up throughout the offseason. But right now, Tingler, as far as what AJ Preller has said, and I see AJ Preller being mentioned in the comments, in no way, shape, or form do I think AJ Preller should be gone. And maybe you can say the same towards Tingler, but he's done a lot to try and get this team as much talent as they can. So it is totally not his fault that this team is underperforming. You can look at the trade deadline and maybe be mad at him for that, but anything else is totally unjust. He brought in Machado. He traded for Tatis. He traded for Cronenworth. And keep in mind, he's one of the very few, if any, that won a trade with the Rays, which is crazy. Hosmer doesn't look like a very good contract, obviously. Brought in Grisham. He's brought in Darvish, Snell, Musgrove. And Paddock, I understand that he's not great, but he's solid 4 or 5, and he was able to trade for him from the Marlins. So it's like, you can look and see the record and think, no, he's not the right guy because his team's underperforming. But that's not his fault. The players are underperforming. He's put them in a situation to win, and that's not on him. It's on honestly the manager and the coaches.
He brought us Tatis. That's all. Yeah, sure. The Hosmer contract was pretty bad. You can say decimating, what was it, the 2014, 2015 farm system to try to win it all that year was pretty bad. But he replaces all his talent so well. He finds talent from like nowhere. And probably guys that probably wouldn't sign with other teams, he finds them and they turn out to be stars. The only problem is getting them from being stars in the minor leagues to the major leagues. We've seen that with position players, but not so much pitchers. You can say Paddock to some extent because his rookie year was insane and then sort of fell off and he's reinventing himself as a pitcher now, but it's still taken a few more years after that rookie season for him to still be like, yeah, we developed this pitcher into what he is today. You can kind of see it with Weathers. He's struggling right now and we can't really get him out of his funk. Gore has been struggling all year. So it's just pitching wise, we haven't been able to develop it. But Preller otherwise has been outstanding.
Yeah, and that's exactly the issue is the development. Mackenzie Gore is an excellent pick. Abrams is another excellent pick. Weathers was looking pretty good at first. Campusano is another nice one. Quantrill is a nice one right now. Like he's done some really nice things. It's just a matter of the development for the Padres isn't and hasn't been there. It's very concerning because we've brought it up before. What's the last ace that they've produced? Like dominant pitcher. And
did we produce PV?
I want to say we did, but like we've always kind of It's been a while. Exactly, it's been a while. So in terms of development, something needs to happen. Maybe it's just bad luck, but at the same time, you don't get unlucky for this many years. So what do you think? So we've been through this Tatis in the outfield experiment for a little while now. What do you think so far? Do you think he should be back at shortstop, or do you think he should stay in the outfield?
I say why not both? Because in certain situations, especially in this upcoming off season, you're probably losing fam, so you can put Myers in left, you can keep Tatis in right and Grisham in center, and then you can keep Cronenworth and a platoon of Kim and Frazier at second. Or you put Cronenworth at first, shop Haas, move Kim to short, keep Frazier second, and call it a day. I feel like that's the way you optimize the lineup the most. Kim is a better defender at shortstop than I believe Cronenworth and Tatis. He's just been crazy defensive-wise, and getting him more at-bats next season and probably at the end of this season helps his development and maybe turn him into that superstar shortstop that he has the potential to be. So I like Tatis in right field, but if he needs to, I'm fine with him playing both all the time.
I like Tatis at shortstop. He's mentioned it this year. He wants to play shortstop. He mentioned it not that long ago. I think it was a couple days ago, actually. They asked him, what position do you plan on being at on opening day next year? Of course, probably not his decision, but he said shortstop. They asked him, where do you see him playing for the next 10 years? He said shortstop. Shortstop's his position, I think. And I understand, Kim is a great fielder. He's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I really like Ha-Seong Kim. But Cronenworth is going to be around for a while. I think the original plan was Cronenworth was going to go to first here soon. Kim was going to go to second. Maybe Abrams go to second. But that's going to be when Hosmer's unloaded. But, I see what you're saying. I see why people like Tatis in the outfield. He's got potential to be an amazing outfielder. I know right now he's still getting used to it out there. But he looks good to me. He looks fast. He's got a great arm. He looks like he gets good reads on the ball. Except for yesterday, he didn't really have that great of a read, but that's just kind of an adjustment to the outfield. I think some people think outfield is a lot easier than it is. It's really hard, especially when you're facing guys that are hitting balls to the sky, and it gets tough out there with the reads and everything. So he's still trying to improve out there. It's going to take him a little bit of time, but like I said, personally, prefer him at shortstop. I think you lock in Machado, Cronenworth, and Tatis in the outfield for years to come, and Abrams and Kim. One of them will be a solid second baseman, but that's kind of the good thing right now is that there's so much. There's a lot of talent that's just unfortunately this year it doesn't show, but I think next year will be fine with him at
The only
shortstop.
reason I'd like to see him platoon in the just one more year because I don't think Hassel's going to be up next year. I think he'll be up the year after that. So just kind of having somebody to solidify either right or left field while Myers is there and Hassel continues to develop. There might be a guy. Oh, actually, you know what? There might be a guy that can fill that role, Fam's role, nicely next year. His name is Jorge Azucar. I don't know if you read an article on him. He was riding like a 13-game hitting streak and hitting over 300 in triple as a center fielder.
Oh wow!
So just slot him into Fam's spot next year. At least get him reps in September, see how he handles MLB pitching. If he handles it well, slot him over to left field and Myers and right, and you call yourself a day because don't know another outfielder that might be worthy off the top of my head other than Hassel, but he hasn't had any AA experience yet.
Yeah, so I want to ask you a question real quick. There's been some talks of the Padres potentially unloading some contracts over the offseason. The four that were mentioned, Eric Hosmer, Will Myers, Drew Pomeranz, and Jurickson Profar. Those four being the four that people are saying should be unloaded. Now, I haven't looked at the pitching free agents, but looking at the position player free agents, they look pretty damn good. And if you're unable to unload some of those contracts, of course you're going to have to pay a little bit of those contracts as well. But saving some money at least, maybe you're able to get, I don't know. What do you think of unloading? Who would you unload? And you can pick any of them, as many as you want of those four. Who would you unload and why? And who would you want?
Hosmer, he's a liability at first. And you move Cronenworth over to first. You can keep Cronenworth, Frazier / Kim, and Tatis and Machado all in the same infield, and it'd be great defensively. Leaves the DH role open. Who else was it? Pomeranz. I don't agree with offloading Pomeranz. He's a really high-end reliever. He's just had some really bad luck with his forearm issues. Hopefully it doesn't end up being like an elbow issue. You keep Myers around. He's been through the rough of it. As of right now, he's been the best hitter in the past 30 games on the Padres. He's kind of been, that guy when no one else has. And I mean, it's not helping a lot, but hey, he's been the best hitter when everybody else is down. You keep him around. He makes a really good DH. I'm iffy with Profar because he could also make a really good DH. He can play all practically infield and he can play outfield. He provides a lot of versatility, but that's also what Ha-Seong Kim does. Profar's a switch hitter, but Kim's better on defense. Kim might have a little bit higher of a ceiling than Profar. So it's kind of one of those two things is it depends on what you can get for Profar. And if they eat all of his contract, then I say, yeah, go ahead and get rid of Profar if you can get something good. But I like to keep him around because he provides a really solid at-bat each time he goes there. And him and Kim probably are two of the more versatile bench options. I know he's kind of struggling offensive this year, but hey, when he comes around pretty clutch.
Right.
So yeah, probably Haas and probably Profar. I'd like to see the Padres kind of reconstruct Myers' contract if Myers would be open to that, but I have no clue if that's going to happen.
Right. If I had the option, and obviously, I see people saying Myers got to go. I think there's going to be there's of course going to be really strong opposition and really strong in favor of it. It's going to be 50-50. I love Will Myers. I really like the guy, of course. I don't mind him staying. I don't mind him going. It's just one of those things. there's a bright spot. Something bright on both sides. Maybe we eat some of his contracts, also save some money in the process, and maybe he's in contention with us and having a great year next year. So I don't mind either of that. I think everyone is kind of on board with Hosmer going. Now, I will say he has been really solid lately. However, I think we know that throughout the years, he hasn't been what we expected. It's a big contract. There's a lot to pay him, and there's got to be something done about it. I won't hate if he stays next year. I know earlier in the year, we hated him. Personally, right now, I'm kind of just like, whatever about him. But I would more so like to see him gone. Profar, love Profar. I think he's a solid player. I think he's a solid utility kind of guy. Obvious, also wouldn't mind seeing him gone. Pomeranz, looking at the talent, he's a great talent. He's fantastic talent. Probably our best bullpen arm when he's healthy. However, that is the exact issue. He's not really healthy. So I think it's iffy with all of these guys, except for probably Hosmer being the most likely and the most favored to be dumped. But it all just, of course, depends on who you bring in. If you're looking at that 2022 MLB free agents tracker, you're going to see a lot of stud names. And of course, looking at those stud names, you're going to be like, oh, let's get rid of them all. But that can't be the case. Shoot in some questions, guys. I'd like to see what you guys have to ask. And go for it, Jay.
My only problem with only signing big names is, one, you run up the payroll that way, and two, you don't build a dynasty like you need to. Dodgers, the Giants. I wouldn't really say the Giants, but the Rays, the Braves, even the Astros. They all develop their talent within their system, and then they promote them. They don't sign a lot. They sign some big free agents, but they don't go out of the way and try to sign a big free agent every single offseason or go and trade for 3 aces in the offseason. Dynasty teams don't do that. The Padres have not made that step yet. So them kind of just being like, yeah, we need to dump these contracts to bring in another big contract, that doesn't make sense. Because what if it just repeats, rinse, wash, repeat, the same thing that happened a few years ago? Develop the talent that you have in your own system. We see that Hassel has superstar potential. We see that Abrams has superstar potential. You need to develop these guys and promote them. They're going to give you 6 years of controllable playing time. And once you do that, you can either develop or you can continue and be like, yes, we develop this guy. We like how he's on the team. We extend him. If not, you move on to the next guy. And that's what those big teams do. They do these, they bring up the prospects, they develop them into superstars, and then they ship them off sometimes. That's what the A's were. The A's did that for a long time. But hey, now they're keeping guys around, but they still don't pay all their players. You don't see them paying for players, and they make playoffs nearly every year. So yeah, it's a combination of paying for your players and keeping the players that you've developed. But you mostly keep the players you develop and trying not to spend so much money in free agency because you're just going to overtax yourself.
Correct. What do you think about this?
It's true. We have a full rotation on DL.
Literally. It's so true.
So who's on the DL right now? So it's Clev starting wise.
Morejon.
Paddock, Morejon. Well, I wouldn't consider Morejon a starter. I would definitely throw him in the bullpen after this year.
He's going to be a bullpen arm. Yeah, he's going to be a bullpen arm for sure. But even guys that aren't starters, who do you think? Because there's Morejon, Castillo, there's Keone Kela, there's Trevor Williams. What's his name? Dan Altavilla. There's a couple.
Yeah, but you can throw Dan Altavilla. You can throw Dan Altavilla out. You can dump him. You can probably dump Taylor Williams.
Is gone.
You know what? You can make a solid argument that you could dump Pomeranz because you have Adrian Martinez coming back or Adrian Morejon coming back.
Yeah, and he's solid. He throws 97 as a lefty. Yeah, there's a bunch of guys on the DL that are going to get that should be gone.
Strom's on the DL again.
Yeah. There's guys that can't stay healthy that need to be off this team. Obviously, pitching has injuries have kind of hurt this team. Lamette's
It's
gonna
one of
stay.
those things where all our guys on the DL, whether or not they be starters or relievers in the future, they're probably going to come back and be starting next year. So I probably would trade Wigginter because I don't really think he has a spot on the team. Altavia, Taylor Williams don't really have a spot on the team. Mordant Hone's going to be, kind of like a Josh Hader. He's either going to close out games, be a high leverage guy that can go multiple innings if you need him to. I think Lamette is going to end up being a bullpen piece. I hate to say it because I've been one of the biggest Lamette believers that he could be an ace caliber starting pitcher. But his elbow scares me. I want him only going one inning stints, throw him as a closer. Keone Kella, I want him back, but if there's not room for him in the bullpen, it's going to cost over $5 million per year. You can toss him to the side because we got a lot of talent coming back. Jose Castillo is another big lefty arm that we kind of need. So you can probably get rid of, like Mark Melanson and replace them with these guys just because, one, they're going to be cheaper, and two, probably more in their prime and better because of the velocity and stuff that they possess.
Yeah. I see a lot of things about Tatis, but going back to shortstop, I'm a believer. I definitely think he should. Maybe not every game, but I think he should be going back to shortstop for sure. He had an interview yesterday for anyone that hasn't seen it. He basically said he doesn't feel like anything's changed from him going to the outfield for him personally. He's just slumping. That's what he said. But I feel like in terms of the energy of this team, I feel like he needs to be more involved. I feel like he needs to be, because he's our superstar shortstop. And like I said earlier, I feel like the Padres, or at least Jace Tingler, has tried everything except for what was originally working in the first place when they were, only 5 games out, or, at one point leading the division. They've tried everything but what was working in terms of the lineup. So that's kind of my thing on that. I see this. I still think we'll get to the wild card. Me personally, I've gotten more pessimistic about it. I don't know if it's going to happen. Chase, what do you think?
I've tried. I really tried to be optimistic with this team and the slump they've been in. But every time I'm like, wow, they should really win this game, they blow it. The offense is either not there, or the bullpen blows it because they're overtaxed, or it's because Tinkler making stupid decisions like he continues to do in this losing series. It's like he takes 9 darts. Actually, let's say 8 because the pitcher really hasn't batted anywhere other than 9. They will storm 1 through 8 and throws them on a dartboard, and whichever names it hits, that's the spot they get put in. So it's really hard to be optimistic with this team, and especially how they've been playing. And if you've just lost Myers for 10 days, he's been the best hitter and probably the only other guy that's hit over 270 with over 330 on base percentage in the past 30 games is Eric Hosmer.
Yeah.
So you take that out, who else is hitting? No one.
Yep. And, mentioning the playoffs, I've definitely, and I tweeted out yesterday that I think yesterday was the first time that I could really say, like, this season feels over. However, I'm still trying to be optimistic. I still think there's hope. I mean, I understand right now it feels like it's 25 games back the way the season's going, but it's only 2. And I mentioned it earlier when you weren't on, Chase. I was saying that, these guys keep saying, the Padres players keep saying that we're too good. We're going to get over it. Tatis said it last night. Pagan said it earlier today on Ben and Woods. However, it's like we don't have time to wait anymore. Like this, if you're going to go to the playoffs, now you need to turn it around today. It needs to start today. If it doesn't start today, the Reds are winning 6-0. If you lose today, you're now 3 games back. You can't keep falling and falling and falling if you want to make it. You got to start getting over that hump right now.
You're 3 games back when the Reds play the Pirates another 10 times. That's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, they're playing the Marlins right now, and they're playing the Marlins another 2 times after this. I mean, if you're ever going to get over this hump, it's right now against the toughest schedule in baseball by by a lot. It's not even close. So if you're going to turn it around, it's got to be now. If not, season's over.
It seems like every time the Tingler and squad have tried to handle adversity,
Oh
they
God.
crap themselves. They shiver in fear and just collapse, and it never works out. So, like I said, if we don't make playoffs from where we were at, I think Tingler's gone. I think it's a good thing that Tingler goes. Really was the best fan of the signing. Preller's just kind of kept his Ranger boys with him, and it's not working. I think you do need a guy that's either been in the clubhouse. I don't think you necessarily have to play at the MLB level or manage at the MLB level. You just need to have a guy with really good baseball IQ and knows how the team works and have some energy within the dugout. And Tingler really isn't that guy.
Yeah.
Every time Tingler's gotten ejected, he's looked dead. Like I think it was yesterday, Aaron Boone was trending on Twitter because he was arguing balls and strikes.
Mm-hmm.
But when you saw him argue that balls and strike when he got tossed, he was energetic. He was yelling. He got the dugout pumped when he got ejected. I don't think I've ever seen Tingler do that.
He basically says, "Oh, I'm gone. Oh, okay, I'll just leave now."
Yeah.
Bro, get your money's worth, dude. Get your money's worth. Like,
Do something, man. The dugout's dead. The team is lacking energy. You need to do something to light a fire under these guys, and you've done nothing in the past 2 weeks.
dude, it's not even just like the past 2 weeks. It's like since we swept the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what are you doing? It's like, and of course you can't always blame the manager when your team's failing, but at the same time, something's got to be done, man. Like, the hitting isn't there right now. When you have that kind of talent, Tatis is the superstar. Machado is a superstar. Cronenworth is, blossoming right before our eyes into a star, and he's already a star. Grisham is a much more talented hitter than we've seen. Last year in a 60-game season, for anyone that listened to our podcast, we would say that the 60-game season is going to benefit these guys because, they're a young team. Now it's a race instead of a marathon. Well, right now it's a race. However, the marathon hasn't looked so good for them. And I think this was my concern coming into the season. How would they look in 162 instead of 60? They haven't looked good. I mean, through the first 60, they looked great. And after that, they haven't. So something needs to change today. I got one more question
for you.
Yeah.
What do you do with the hitting coach? Do you hire more on top of it, or do you clean house again?
No, you clean house. You get that guy out of there. You need to
but then replace him with who? And you just replace him with one?
I don't know. I think you replace him with someone from the Giants. I think there was someone from the Giants from, I forgot what college he came from at first. But you need to get somebody in there that's analytical, that, because you look at this team right now, dude, their plate approaches are terrible. How are you going to go up there? Mr. Tommy Pham goes up there and he swings at the first pitch. I think it was Tommy Pham. He swings at the first pitch after somebody gave up 2 walks in a row. Frazier did that too. And now bum starting pitchers are going into the 7th inning with like 90, no, not 90, like 80, 90 pitches. Yeah, like 80 pitches. Something's got to change, man. I saw a comment earlier saying that like whenever things start to fumble or start to tumble, we call for everyone, not just us specifically, but fans start calling for people to be fired. But I feel like we've given pretty legitimate reasons, and we're not saying everyone needs to go. Rothschild had to go. Preller, of course, he's still, even if he failed at the deadline, he's still the rock star GM. So, we're not calling for everyone's head, but things got to change.
Yeah, with that, the game is on. Do you guys have any last questions before we go? Do you think we're going to win this series? Do you think we're going to split it? Do you think we're going to get a 2-game sweep? What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, honestly, I hope these guys know that their season rides right on right now. So I'm hoping they come out with a sweep. I really do think they're going to come out with 2 wins, but I really wouldn't be surprised if they honestly lost both. I mean, I'm expecting them to win
Honestly, I'm
both.
happy with the split right now. If they
I think
win
I
one
am.
game, I'm happy.
I think so too, man. Some we need a win, man. I mean, the sweep is ideal. It would get us kick started.
Yeah, definitely.
What do
With
you
that,
think?
guys, I think we need a sweep, but I think we're only going to win one game.
Okay.
I do not trust Weathers tomorrow.
I
That's the
don't either.
thing. I don't trust Weathers tomorrow. And with Weathers pitching tomorrow, how long is he going to go? How many earned runs is he going to give up? When is he going to get pulled? Is he going to get left out to dry again? Is the bullpen going to have to come in and pitch a bunch of innings? There's just too much going bad tomorrow that I can see.
Yeah, man. I see this. Stop lying to yourself, bro. Yeah. I mean, hey, like I said yesterday, if you follow us on Twitter, somebody commented I went to the wrong game, and I said, yeah, I did. But would I do it again? Yes, I would. So, I mean, yeah, I'm kind of putting myself through some punishment right now, but it's all right, And I see Tatis hit the double. That's great. So, with that being said, Chase and I are going to go watch the game right now. Hopefully, things turn around for the Padres, and we'll talk to you guys soon.